The seas are roaring, Schofield and Shakespeare, you're a scoring. Paper 1 section B, fabulous speeches, perfect tone, get high grade, stay tuned and watch Schofield on Shakespeare.
Simili a degli eroi, abbiamo il cuore a strisce, portaci dove vuoi.
We're aiming for this, of course: mature, engaging tone, beautifully written, genuinely crafted.
Most pupils I know tend to prefer writing speeches to letters, articles, and other text types. This is for many reasons, which include the fact that a speech can be more colloquial and informal, although this will depend on the audience. However, there are more explicit techniques that you can incorporate within a speech. In this table, the examples are all written by my pupils in relation to a speech for parents advising them to restrict their child's mobile phone use. Generally, they're pretty good. I like the tricolon in the bottom right-hand corner. However, forgive me, is the example of a rhetorical question just a little obvious? Within this section, I like the phrase instant dopamine hit and the alliterative, emotive, helplessly hooked. I also like the handling objections example, which refuses to come to an overly simplistic solution. Be careful with hyperbole. You need to ensure that it doesn't sound childish or ridiculously melodramatic. However, I like the way this pupil has followed my advice and included a hyperbolic adaptation of a famous line from Shakespeare, in this case from Romeo and Juliet. In terms of the anecdote, is the initial sentence too general and imprecise? Numerous pupils at Swansea High School were on track to succeed in their exams. In terms of personal pronouns, we all know that we need to use you to involve our audience. But do we all know that we all need to use we as well? Here's an exam style question. Do celebrities make the best role models? You've been asked to deliver a speech in which you give your views on this topic. Have a go now at writing this speech yourself. Press pause to get a move on. Hopefully, you've produced a really good response. However, I'm now going to show you the first sentence of every paragraph within my model answer. Consider and discuss how the tone is created and think about how the initial idea might be developed in the rest of each paragraph. Go on then, press pause now. Time now to look at my response as a whole. Famed Lothario Russell Brand is now facing a series of rape charges. Yes, the celebrity of the 1990s and 2000s. He of long hair and hairy chest. He of irritating lisp and feeble one-liners. The former darling of the left-wing media is likely to find himself behind bars in the not-so-distant future. Clearly, this celebrity, with the benefit of hindsight, was not a good role model. But more generally speaking, should celebrities be good role models? Should we be looking up at the likes of Andrew Tate, Katie Price, and, yes, even Donald Trump, and aspiring to follow their lead? Pass me the sit bucket. This is piffle. This is nonsense. The majority of people who court fame and become celebrities are by definition attention seekers who are prepared to do and say whatever it takes in order to make others sit up and pay attention. Russell Brand, Andrew Tate, Katie Price, Donald Trump, the Kardashians, Molly May Hague, we all know that these people have no particular skill, no particular talent, and are determined only in so much as they will do anything to draw attention to themselves. Hence Tate's inflammatory statements about the manosphere, Price's bewildering number of breast augmentation procedures, Kim Kardashian's bewildering number of buttock augmentation procedures, and Trump's ridiculous comments about tariffs. However, these people deserve to be celebrities because they both divide and intrigue us. Such individuals do not care about whether they are liked or not, they simply want to be talked about. Thus, they make concerted efforts to be interesting. Take Andrew Tate, for instance. During many of his social media videos, he can be seen spouting angry nonsense about boys being unfairly marginalised and girls preferring cavemen. Is it true? Not really. However, it contains grains of truth, with the net result being that politicians and teachers feel compelled to denounce him, which only serves to make him even more popular and relevant amongst his target audience. As curious as it sounds, such a man deserves to be famous. He is fulfilling the job criteria of a celebrity perfectly, which is to get as many people as possible talking about him. Whether this feedback is positive or negative is immaterial. The whole point of being a celebrity, therefore, is to entertain, which is utterly at variance with being a oh-so-perfect role model. It is the worthy and those who make a genuine, long-lasting difference who should act as role models within communities. Teachers, for instance, who transform lives. Doctors and nurses who save lives. Street cleaners who work tirelessly to make sure we live within clean, decent, sanitary neighbourhoods. However, the sad truth is that although such individuals do important work, they themselves, with a few noble exceptions, are boring. These honourable, upright, upstanding, thoroughly decent, hard-working, conscientious souls are rightly awarded for their work every year at a special service in Westminster Abbey. A senior member of the royal family will turn up, usually Kate, and shake their hands. Their stories will be distilled into feel-good, 2-minute segments for those watching the programme on television at home. But 2 minutes is enough. Such souls must remain in their boxes as role models and leave the celebrities to do what they are good at, which is diverting us, entertaining us, and being downright silly at times. We need our celebrities to behave disgracefully and shamefully, within the confines of the law, of course. We enjoy hiding our eyes and ears as yet another Kim Kardashian sex tape is leaked accidentally onto the internet, or tut-tutting at yet another bust-up between Katie Price and a new lover. But of course, this means that we mustn't be so stupid as to think that these people can miraculously act as role models. Before we dissect this model response, a useful interlude. Can you spot the spelling errors within these 3 sentences on screen? Press pause to get thinking. Oh, good heavens! Surely everyone knows that the Y changes to IES when celebrities is pluralized. Oh, give me strength, concerted as a C at the beginning of the certed bit. And yes, I am certain. This error makes me weep. Compelled has a double L in it. It's so important in a speech to grab your audience's attention as quickly as possible. I aim to do this here by referencing something topical. Indeed, Russell Brand has been in the news this week. Remember that sound patterning techniques such as alliteration or here, parallelism, are particularly effective in a speech which is written to be said out loud. With any of these tasks, you need to show the examiner you're sharply answering the specific question as opposed to regurgitating something pre-learnt which is sort of similar. I do this here with my 2 consecutive rhetorical questions. For this particular question, we are not told who your audience is. Clearly, the formality of your language will vary slightly if, in a different question, you are told you are addressing fellow pupils or adults. In the absence of this information, I think it is fine to assume that your audience is likely to be your fellow pupils. Thus, phrases such as "pass me the sick bucket" work and help engage the audience. Notice that there are some quite long sentences in this paragraph. The first one has 34 words, the second 42, and the third 28. I would never recommend writing very long sentences. However, the key principle is that your sentences are controlled. And on this page, I'm aiming to make a reasonably detailed argument about what it means to be a celebrity in the 21st century. You will note that the third sentence beginning with "hence Tates" has no main verb. It is grammatically incomplete, but this is done for deliberate effect as I wheel off repeated examples about each celebrity. The previous paragraph may have been packed with long sentences. However, the mark schemes require variety. Look at the length of the coloured pink sentences now on screen. The first one has 8 words, the second 5, the third 3, and the fourth only 2. There is also an argument that in a speech in particular, you need to keep some of the sentences short and snappy to maintain the audience's attention. Try to avoid oversimplifying in your arguments, which I do here by pointing out that Tate's angry rhetoric contains, at the least, grains of truth. Most pupils struggle more with the tone of an article or a letter rather than a speech, partly because they rarely read them. That said, aim to create an engaging, more sophisticated tone in your speeches as well. One way I do that here is through the phrase "oh so perfect role model," which is positively dripping with irony and slight scorn. Perhaps compared to some of my other speeches, I haven't incorporated as many rhetorical devices. For instance, my eulogy to the legend that is Wilfried Zaha contains far more rhetorical devices. Look this video up if interested. However, within the sentence beginning, "these honourable, upright, upstanding, thoroughly decent, hard-working, conscientious," I'm aiming to pile up words and phrases, in this case mostly adjectives, for deliberate effect, something known as conjuries. This contributes to a lively, mildly controversial tone. How dare I suggest that celebrities must invariably be bad uns? Whoopsie. Another sentence without a main verb. To be grammatically correct, this sentence would read something like, "Celebrities should be left to divert us, entertain us, and be downright silly at times." But this is less punchy than the original. But do be careful. The examiner must be convinced that you have omitted the main verb for deliberate effect and haven't just missed it out due to deficiencies and lack of control as a writer. You have to be careful with the word "stupid." I wouldn't use it, for instance, in a letter to a council about a planning project or a response to a head teacher's initiative. But here it works, partly due to the use of the first person plural. We mustn't be so stupid as to think that celebrities can do absolutely everything, including acting as role models.
You've been watching Schofield on Shakespeare. A challenge for you. If you found this video useful, post a picture of yourself with a Porsche à Pesca d'Or and put a thumbs up. Hope it's been useful. Many thanks for watching.